All right, we are here doing our finalists for the photojournalism category, and these are the top 6, and they're all like very different, I think. And Jen, I love what Jen said when we first did our selections and talked about story, because I introduced this I think last year, this category, just to provide something for people who aren't out there just doing landscape kind of stuff and have a lightning trigger and are trying to sell giant prints, but more they're just out there kind of enjoying it and just snapping photos. And so I wanted something different, but Jen really brought up the element of story in all these, and that's what photojournalism is about. So Jen, I just thought you should kind of start off with our top 6 and just kind of what you think overall of this group of pictures.
Yeah, thanks for that. I really appreciate this final selection here. I think there's a range, which is very interesting. We have everything from newsworthy shots to cinematic compositions. And everything kind of in between. There are lots of stories we can tell when we're out there, from the experience of the storm chaser to the experience of the people who are impacted by the storms. And I think all of that is represented here. So I'm really excited to hear what Mike and Dennis have to say about these images.
Yeah. And we'll start with this one. So if you guys want to quickly say anything about, we'll try to go through each 6 if you have any thoughts on each of these.
I think it's a very powerful image. So there is just a whole building destroyed from a recent storm, tornado, or downburst, or whatever, I don't know. But there's still this huge storm cloud in the background. And yeah, if things are bad, it's almost getting worse here. So the story behind this one is very, very powerful, in my opinion. And you can also see some cars through the destroyed windows. Also, are these law enforcement, or what is it?
Yeah, it looks like police or
So law enforcement is on the scene. So there's so much going on here, and so much details in the rooms. So there's something in the wall, and for me, it's a very powerful storytelling here.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis there. It's and Jen mentioned earlier too. Journalism is all about storytelling. It's not your pretty fine art pieces per se, right? So here you're not necessarily looking at, oh, look at the colors, or look at that that foreground, right? Here it's all about the story, and this image does a really good job of conveying the power of nature, right? You've got the house completely having all the windows blown out, the roof's gone. The emergency vehicles off in the distance there. The framing's nice as well. You got kind of converging lines coming in from each side there to kind of point you towards the incoming storm as well. So it's a really nice image, and it's also done in a way that I feel is respectful, which is, I think, key when you're doing images like this, where you're kind of entering areas that have been damaged, including obviously people's homes. They're not in there, and you can tell they're not like almost invading the space. They're just kind of peeking in and showing the story. So yeah, this is a really well done journalistic image here.
Agreed. All right, we'll go on to this next one. I just wanted to point out that this photographer is Tanner Schaff, and he had reached out to me a little bit about the story, and I think he was, I appreciated him wanting to make sure we knew. So I think we saw this and we speculate a little bit what was happening, because you do have to sometimes interpret what the story might be from an image based on just what the image is telling you. But this truck had just driven through that tornado before coming out here, so or the edges of it or something like that. So they weren't out racing the tornado about to hit them as much as the tornado kind of hit them and is already going by. But this image is just super powerful to me, and it takes everything into account of photojournalism. I mean, it's a grainy, rushed kind of, in the heat of the moment kind of picture that just captures it the moment in the story perfectly.
Yeah, agree on that. So it's a completely different storytelling, like the picture before, because in the picture before there was something happened before, and here the scene is going on. So you don't know what will the outcome of this. Will the tornado hit the car or not? Or so many. It's very, very powerful and action picture. I think I don't know how to explain it right in English right now. So
I think Jen had a good word when we were going over it, which was cinematic.
Cinematic, yeah.
Yeah, what we don't realize is this is the opening scene from Twisters 2.
Yeah.
But no, in regards to journalism, it's definitely different than obviously the previous image, right? The thing that screams out to me about this right off the bat is this is the man versus nature juxtaposition. And it almost, if you don't know the story behind it, right, it almost gives you anxiety a little bit. You're like, are they going to make it? Are they being, is this thing going to catch up to them? So this is not necessarily, I feel like, a storm chasing image. This is an image that makes you kind of worry for the safety of the people right there. And you want to know the outcome, right? You want to know more about, did they make it? And I think a good journalistic image is one of those images that makes you want to dive deeper into that story.
All right, we'll go on to this one as well, which, Mike, what do you think?
This one gives me anxiety because of fire ants, but no, it's a cool, it's a really cool kind of behind the scenes image, right? It tells, and to me, it tells the story of what chasing is, right? We're all out there for different reasons, but when it's all said and done, our love and our connection with the storms are so key. And here you have that connection. I don't know who that is in the foreground looking, but them looking at the tornado, you almost feel like the tornado is looking back at them. There's this connection, right? And the line on the right works really well, leading you down. The repetitive power lines lead you down. So, and I love the framing too of having the car off on the left side, and you kind of get this little highlights hitting off of it as well. It just adds a little bit of extra to the image.
All right, Dennis, I know that you've seen this scene a lot out there, but I think it's cool to see, the story in this image and what it's like just being out there chasing these things and everything that's going on around these storms.
Yeah. So that's the typical chase scene. I think if you are out in the field and the storm is going on, so you will see different and several tour vans passing by, and for me, it's just this typical storm chasing scene. Maybe if there are just a few more cars in there, then it would be much more clear. So, it's, if you want to explain someone what storm chasing is or how it looks like, that's the scene.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis here. This is your kind of like, this is what chasing's about. This also reminds me of the scene out of Jurassic Park when they look back and they're like, must go faster. Because I think everybody was thinking that this day was got to drive faster. I think it's a nice shot, framed up well. Once again, any lower down to the ground, the roof of that van's going to protrude up into the storm. So it's nice separation there. Lines work well. And I do say I like the fact that it looks like, I can't really zoom in, but it looks like they maybe shot this at a little bit slower shutter speed. So that's kind of a nice choice.
It actually says 1/800th in Lightroom. So this thing is probably, the van, obviously, like you said, must go faster. So this van is probably going pretty quick. So even 1/800th that close, there's going to be a little bit of blur to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I like that sometimes when you shoot, maybe you shoot at a 1/10 of a second or a 30th of a second, just to kind of create that motion within that vehicle it's going by.
Yeah, this was this that day that we met up in the Northwest or the Oklahoma Panhandle, Boyce, and then chased it all the way into south of 40.
I don't even know what airport I'm in right now, Mike.
All right. Well, we'll go on. We need Mike to get some rest. Mike, what do you think of this image? This image was pretty, I don't know, haunting to me.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and talk over the announcement. I apologize again. Yeah, it's just eerie and moody. And you, I love the fact that the dump truck, I think it is driving in the center lane, like kind of contemplating life choices. So yeah, I like the mood in it. I like the scale in it. This is another image where I think maybe if you decided to crop it like 16:9, almost panoramic, because you kind of lose some of the structure and interest above that cloud that's like right above the tornado there. So that would kind of keep you a little bit tighter into the scene, and that would be my suggestion there.
Yeah, and it would kind of pull you into the truck a little bit, maybe make the truck feel more front and center in the tornado and the distance, and kind of make you feel like you're the truck, watching it. So cropping is just one of those things that I think some people, it's just hard to think about, oh, yeah, I should do this. All right, we'll go to our last one, which we just talked about in our Photographer of the Year portfolio. Jennifer, I'm going to let you finish off this one because I know you really love this image.
I do love this image. I feel this image. Like when you zoom in and you see his hair blowing, you can see the expression on his face. Like we've all been in that position. We have felt those feelings. And I love the red in the tail light and how it balances those oranges and reds up in the top left of the frame. So I really appreciate so many things about her composition, the way that all of the textures and the tones are managed. Just, it's beautiful. I love it.
Agree. Mike, how are the alarms for you?
The alarms are done for now. But no, I think this is a really cool moment as well, because it's a moment that I feel like most of us would overlook. Most of us would be pointing our camera at the storm. Nina took this, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, so like one, to have that relationship where they get to chase together is really, really cool. But for her to be like, hey, I'm going to take my camera off the storm and I'm going to photograph, Brett's going to love this, I'm going to photograph my man doing his thing. And like, it's just such a cool moment. And something that most of us would probably not think about doing is photographing other people when you have this beautiful storm right there. So I think it's another great storytelling image.
And not just telling the story of the storm, but I always try to tell storm chasers, tell our story. So I think it's a really good example for us to think differently about how we take pictures out in the field. So.
No, absolutely. And it makes me, I think that's what's one thing cool about this contest is seeing all these different kind of things and being inspired. And a lot of these make me want to step back a little bit this year and do some more of this kind of thing, especially, I know, all of us actually are chasing with people. I'm leading tours. Mike's doing tours and workshops. Dennis has a group. And Jen, you're usually with Skip and other people doing some kind of awesome project or whatever. And that's what you love as well. And it's one thing that I want to work on more is taking pictures of the people that are with me, that are experiencing these moments, that are enjoying it and have that, like the look of Brett on their face, which is just like, oh, my hair's blowing in the wind and the storm is gorgeous and all that. So it's really the story of what it's like. So,
what's really cool too is I don't know, I haven't seen any work from him in a long time, but you guys know Ryan McGinnis?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So his stuff when he was with Vortex, it is something that's always stuck with me from a like journalistic way to photograph storms and storm chasers. So if anybody doesn't know his work, check his work out. It's fantastic and can kind of get your gears turning.
Good tip. All right. Congrats to all of you 6 who made it, and good luck for the rest of the way.